Friday, October 25. Late afternoon, Eastern Daylight Time. 45,000 feet over the continental USA. The Boeing E-45 aircraft, commonly referred to as a night watch within the military, or the doomsday plane in common parlance, had begun its 150-hour circuitous trip around the United States with General Canton, commander of U.S. STRATCOM, and his top aides aboard. The aircraft remained within 2 hours flying time of Raven Rock, where the president was being protected deep within the Side-R bunker. General Canton was only somewhat prepared for the deluge of incoming nuclear missiles that began to rain down on America in rapid succession. He was shocked at the coordinated efforts between Moscow and Beijing. Russia fired first, unloading over 1,000 nuclear bombs directed at U.S. targets, both military and civilian. As required by protocol, America's defenses countered with a strike of their own while deploying all of its defensive capabilities against the Russian missiles. In a cleverly calculated nuclear warfare maneuver, Beijing fired upon the U.S. with an anticipatory first strike of its own. However, it was launched several minutes after the Russians' first strike. General Canton and his team had little left within their defensive arsenal to fend off the onslaught from China. He not only watched in horror as the data streamed into his secured channels, he also had a bird's-eye view of the telltale mushroom clouds emerging high in the stratosphere where the doomsday plane skirted the boundaries of space. After the 3 initial ballistic missiles struck America's west coast, delivered from an unsuspected nuclear submarine that had been lurking in the Pacific Ocean nearby, the nation was brought to its knees with the detonation of a high-altitude EMP. Once considered the doomsday scenario by scientists, North Korea's use of an EMP to bring America to its knees by crippling its critical infrastructure was unintended by the Pyongyang military leaders. An EMP attack alone would have been enough to throw the American way of life back 200 years. Coupled with the nuclear devastation unfolding on the planet's surface, it almost ensured the nation would be incapable of being rebuilt for decades, as the radiation spoiled everything around it. In a matter of minutes after the EMP strike, electricity became a thing of the past across America. The country's 10,000-plus electric power plants, 23,000 backup generators, and 55,000 substations suffered a massive cascading failure. Over 500,000 miles of high-voltage transmission lines were shut down. By destroying the power grid and any communications systems that relied upon it, the American people were unaware of the nuclear missiles headed toward them. There was insufficient warning time. The vast majority of citizens had no idea where their fallout shelters were located, if any. Their computer devices in whatever configuration ceased to operate, and the internet was no longer accessible. Many vehicles, rendered inoperable by the incredible pulse of energy, stalled or crashed into one another, blocking roads, bridges, and tunnels. America was swept into a state of pandemonium, and that was moments before the first wave of Russian nuclear bombs began to incinerate the landscape.